For the best prices and service on Pokemon TCG singles and products, check out ccgcastle.com and use promo code Evolutionaries-5 for 5% off your next order.
What's up, guys? And here, and today for this Deck Tech Thursday, I'm going to be profiling for y'all my Mega Broski deck. That is right, Broski is back. Now, no, this is not the new GX Broski that comes out in Burning Shadows, but this is kind of a hybrid Mega Gardevoir deck. Mainly focused around Brilliant Arrow, but I do have a Despair Ray here as well. And let's just get right into it. One of my favorite decks to play, and still has a lot of power, I feel. So we start here with 3 Gardevoir EX and 3 Mega Gardevoir EX. Now, for the regular Gardevoir EXs, it doesn't really matter which version you pick. I just chose the 2 Link Blast, 1 Life Leap, because while Link Blast has power behind it, and not to mention that art is amazing for that secret rare, Life Leap's also good for when you need a quick 1 energy attack. And not to mention healing some damage helps too. And for the Mega lineup here, we got these 2 right here, which is the main focus of the deck. It's going to be Brilliant Arrow. For a Fairy 2 colors, does 30 times the amount of Fairy energy on all of your Pokemon, so that adds up really quickly. And when the right setup happens with this deck, it's almost unbeatable, really. Like, even metal decks can't really stand out to Brilliant Arrow once it gets going. And I had the 1 Despair Ray in here just to get rid of some liability Pokemon on the bench that I have. Not to mention having some Psychic type damage really helps too. Guys, not everything's weak to Fairy. Matter of fact, there's not really too much Dragon going on right now, so you're not really going to be hitting things for weakness. However, there are some Fighting and Psychic decks out there, so this could help out with that a lot. And let's see here. Next up for the Pokemon, 3 copies of Xerneas. We mainly just use it for Geomancy. Being able to search your deck for 2 Fairy Energy, put it onto 2 of your Pokemon, really helps accelerate the Brilliant Arrow damage. And it's got Rainbow Spear, but we really don't use that. If you end up using Rainbow Spear, then you are not having a good day. Not having a good day at all. Alright. Next up here, 2 copies of Tapu Lele. Pretty much the staple in any deck now. You bench it, search your deck for a supporter. It's got 170 HP, which is good. And its attack is a double colorless, so you could still use his attack in this deck if need be. And it's the same thing as Lugia's Arrow Ball, 20 for each energy on Lele and your opponent's active. It doesn't hit for weakness, but it doesn't apply resistance either, which is good because Zoroark is everywhere right now, so being able to ignore the resistance on that is really good. And last but not least is going to be 1 copy of Hoopa, just to be able to search up to 3 Pokemon EX. Now, I don't really run Shaman in here because you don't really need Shaman anymore, I feel. Shaman's pretty much become obsolete. And not to mention, this way, every single Pokemon here is still going to be legal come rotation. Even Hoopa. So yeah, me and Professor K looked into this, and the promo for Hoopa survives the rotation, so we will still have Hoopa EX next format. So, that does it for the Pokemon lineup. And let's get into our supporter lineup. We start off here with 3 copies of Professor Sycamore. Obvious reasons. Next up here we have 2 copies of N. And 1 copy of Lily. Now, in any deck I love running Lily, just because going for Lele when your hand's really small or no hand at all on your first turn, just to search for Lele. I get them mixed up. I search Lele to get a Lily. Then you play Lily, draw 8 cards. So really good. Next up here we have 2 copies of Lysander. Again, obvious reasons. Just being able to pull a Pokemon from your opponent's bench really helps. 1 copy of Professor Kukui. Now, we're already doing crazy amounts of damage with Brilliant Arrow Gardevoir. However, we are now in an era where we have 230, 250 Pokemon in multiple places. So, Kukui really helps boost up that little bit of damage that we need against those really big guys out there. And now for our 3 1-up supporters, run 1 copy of Skylab, 1 copy of Hex Maniac, and 1 copy of Ninja Boy. Now these two are self-explanatory, but for Ninja Boy, really helps that, especially if you go second and you don't get an optimal start. Like, you want to start Xerneas all the time, no matter what, or at least Gardevoir. Like, Xerneas is always the best one, but a Gardevoir is not bad either, is the point I'm trying to make there. But let's say if you don't start with either one of these, you start with a Lele or a Hoopa. Ugh, if you start with a Hoopa, I am so sorry. But starting with Lele is not that bad. So what you do is that you play your other Lele, search off your Ninja Boy, play the Ninja Boy, get Xerneas into the active, and just go Geomancy from there. So that's why I have Ninja Boy in here, and he has really saved my hide quite a many times when it comes to my Gardevoir decks. And that will do it for the supporter lineup. Nothing too fancy there. All of our fanciness comes from our items. Alright. So we start here with 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Very, very standard. 4 copies of VS Seeker. Very sad that we're going to be losing this in rotation. I really hope this card gets reprinted soon, because out of everything we're losing, I think this is going to impact deck building the absolute most. Because when this came out in Phantom Forces, whew, this really changed everything. And I know it's been out before, Phantom Forces, but I'm just saying, like, I only known this card from Phantom Forces. And next up here we have 4 copies of Max Elixir. Now, even though we have Xerneas, the point of Gardevoir is just to get energy everywhere as quickly as possible. And with Max Elixir, we can do that. Especially with our high energy count, you really shouldn't be missing on those either. So, yeah, that's always pretty good. And now all those are out of the way, we're going to go into our 3-ups and less. So we've obviously have our 3 Gardevoir Spirit Link. Now, I'm actually thinking about doing some Mega decks with the new Diancie, which you use the attack to evolve one of your Pokemon, because it doesn't restrict EX, GX, or anything like that. So, I'm going to see if that works. And maybe for future profiles, we could cut down Spirit Links, or even not need them anymore. Possibly. That's a big if on that one. But the point of that was just to possibly see if you could run stuff like Choice Band, stuff like that in your Mega Evolution decks. Alright. Sorry for that little ramble there. Just wanted to share that piece of info with you guys. Next up here is going to be 3 copies of Mega Turbo. Now, as we know, stuff gets knocked out and it goes into our discard pile, especially energy, and we don't want energy there at all. No. So this card really helps with that greatly. We have 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Now, this is an amazing card. It's almost like Super Rod, but it's all Pokemon, which you could use that second effect for, shuffle 3 Pokemon to the deck, or the one that you usually are going to use is that you put any Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. So that could be a Mega to evolve into with another Gardevoir you have. It could be a Hoopa to bench and search. It could be a Lele to bench and search. So Rescue Stretcher definitely comes in handy in this deck, I must say. And last up for our items, we run 1 Super Rod and 1 Field Blower. This is just to get energy back into our deck if we have too many in the discard. And Field Blower just for obvious reasons. Now, for Brilliant Arrow decks in the past, I just want to say this quickly, I used to run EXP Share. If you still want to run that card, that's completely fine. However, as time went, I kind of realized that there's almost not really much Pokemon you want to have that on. Like, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it on the Lele. I'll say that right now. It does not hurt to have an EXP Share on Lele. But that kind of makes Lele more of a target that your opponent wants to get to. So if you want to run EXP Share, go for it. It has helped save me in the past. But it's that, and there's not really too much room, I feel, for EXP Share anymore. Because when you did it, you only really had room for 1 EXP Share. And I really pushed to make 2, and I did, but it didn't really go too well. And I really don't like the idea of running only 1 EXP Share for this deck. So that's why I personally don't run it anymore. Once again, you do with it as you will. If you wish to run EXP Share, you are more than welcome to. Again, there is merit behind it. And that will be it for the items. I told you they were pretty fancy. And for our stadiums, as you guys can figure, we run 4 copies of Fairy Garden. Now, luckily, this got reprinted in Fates Collide, so we don't have to worry about this rotating out whatsoever. Alright, so now for our energy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, as you guys see, your 10 basic Fairy energy. So, you really should not be missing those max elixirs. If you do, well, you're just not having a good game. So, this is about it for the deck profile. Like I said, this has been one of my personal favorite decks to build, and once Brilliant Arrow gets set up, it's practically unstoppable. I will say that right now. It's got that potential there, and luckily, since we've had this card reprinted all the way back in Generations, not all the way back, all the way forward, I should say, in Generations, so with the rotation, we're not losing any of our Brilliant Arrows, and honestly, we're not even losing Life Leap either, which I think is pretty cool. We're not losing Xerneas thanks to Steam Siege. We're not losing Hoopa thanks to its promo. So yeah, pretty much everything you might need in this deck, minus the Mega Turbos, I will say. Mega Turbo is the only thing of big notice that we're going to be losing come rotation, but everything else, I'm envious Seeker too, but that's every deck. Everything else here is still going to be here come rotation, so you really don't have to worry about picking up this deck now and playing it while you still can. You've got plenty of time to play this deck, don't worry. So, if you enjoyed this little neat profile, be sure to leave a like, comment, and stay tuned for tomorrow, where we take on Professor K's deck. Sorry, I got a little stutter there. Ooh, don't know what's going on with me. Sorry about that, guys. And hopefully I can win this time. Mega Gardevoir has very rarely let me down. And it's been good to me. The broski has been good to me, so hopefully it's good to me tomorrow. So, this has been N with the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and I will catch you guys later.